Rain traced silver lines down the restaurant's tall windows as Elena wiped the last table. The dinner rush had ended, but the air still carried the faint scent of garlic, perfume, and freshly extinguished candles. She moved quietly, her hands sure from years of repetition. It was nearly closing time when the voice came, sharp, impatient. "Who let her in here?" Elena froze. The manager's tone always carried weight, but tonight it was louder, crueler. Victor Lang stood near the front, tuxedo crisp, jaw tight. In front of him stood Elena, holding a forgotten phone she had just picked up near the restroom. "I found this," she said softly, holding it out. Her voice trembled, but not from fear, only from fatigue. Victor didn't even glance at the phone. "You don't bring things through the dining area, Elena. Look at you. Filthy uniform, wet shoes." "There are guests here." A small group near the bar turned to look. Their laughter faded, replaced by polite, curious silence. A woman in a red dress whispered something behind her hand, and a ripple of amusement passed through the group. Elena lowered her gaze, gripping the phone tighter. She had cleaned this floor since morning. Her shoes were wet because the roof leaked near the back door. "I only wanted to return it before someone—" "Out!" Victor snapped. "Take it to Lost and Found. Next time, use the service corridor." He motioned to a waiter, who stepped forward uncertainly. "Please escort her out." Elena hesitated. For a second, the years peeled back. The crisp white coat, the smell of antiseptic, the hum of a hospital ward. She used to walk corridors brighter than these, her name embroidered on her pocket. Elena Mirov, RN. But that was before the accident, before the bills and the silence that followed. Now, she swallowed her words and let them guide her to the door. The night air met her like a wall of cold. Rain soaked through her sleeves as she stood beneath the awning, clutching the phone she still hadn't placed anywhere. Her reflection in the dark glass looked like a stranger, hair streaked with gray, face tired but steady. Inside, laughter resumed. A saxophone hummed low from the sound system. The restaurant glowed golden, sealed off from the damp street where she stood. She should have walked away, but her feet wouldn't move. Instead, she crossed the street, sat on a bench, and waited for her bus. The phone still rested in her palm. Its wallpaper showed a smiling family, 2 children and a woman who might have been one of the guests. Elena sighed, sheltering it under her jacket. The bus was late. It always was. She thought about Emma, her own daughter, who hadn't spoken to her in months. The last message had said, "Mom, please take care of yourself." That was all. Across the street, through the rain-slicked window, she could still see the restaurant's interior. Warm light, crystal glasses, white tablecloths. She could almost smell the roasted lamb and hear the hum of conversation. The world she used to belong to, now behind a pane of glass. Then, something flickered inside. A spark. The light over the bar flashed once, then again. The hum of the neon sign outside dimmed. Elena narrowed her eyes. Years of hospital nights had taught her the rhythm of emergencies. Something wasn't right. A second later, she saw it. A wisp of smoke curling from the kitchen vents, gray against the amber light. No one inside seemed to notice yet. Her heart quickened. The phone in her hand vibrated. A call coming through from Mrs. Rivera, the name on the lock screen. Elena looked at the burning vent, then at the phone. The irony wasn't lost on her. They had called her filthy and thrown her out, but they were the ones trapped in a box filling with smoke. She rose to her feet as the first alarm began to wail faintly from inside. The rain poured harder, drumming on the empty street, and without another thought, Elena ran toward the door. Elena pushed through the heavy glass door before anyone inside understood what was happening. The smell of smoke hit her instantly, thick, electric, sharp enough to sting her eyes. The jazz music still played, a strange soundtrack to the panic just beginning to bloom. "Fire! Someone check the kitchen!" shouted a waiter. But his voice broke halfway through, swallowed by confusion. Flames were already licking the curtains near the back hallway, orange against the mirrored walls. Victor Lang stood frozen near the reception desk, phone still in hand. disbelief painting his face. He had shouted at her not 10 minutes ago. Now the same woman was rushing past him, jacket pulled over her mouth. "Elena, stop! It's dangerous!" he yelled, but she didn't even turn. She knew the layout better than any of them, the narrow staff corridor that led to the back storage, the heavy exit door often jammed by crates. Years of cleaning every corner had carved the place into her muscle memory. The smoke thickened fast. People screamed. Chairs scraped the floor. The Rivera family, the ones from the photo on the lost phone, were standing near the far table. The little boy clung to his mother's waist, crying as the sprinklers sputtered but failed to activate. Elena reached them first. "This way," she said, voice hoarse. She pulled a napkin from a table and pressed it to the child's face. "Stay low, hold on." They followed, coughing, trusting the woman they'd dismissed earlier as unclean. She led them toward the service hallway, kicking aside a fallen tray of glasses. When the handle of the exit door wouldn't budge, Elena grabbed a fire extinguisher and struck the latch until it gave way with a metallic snap. Cool night air burst in, cutting through the smoke. "Go, run outside!" The Riveras stumbled into the alley, gasping. But as they turned, they saw Elena disappear back into the haze. She wasn't done. There were others still inside, the pianist, 2 waiters, and Victor, who had vanished toward the kitchen. She found him crouched near the counter, coughing, eyes streaming. "Come on!" she shouted, grabbing his arm. He hesitated, shame flashing across his soot-covered face. "You came back for me?" Elena didn't answer. She only tightened her grip and pulled him toward the door. The heat pressed against their backs as they stumbled outside into the downpour. Fire trucks arrived minutes later, red lights slicing through the rain. Steam hissed where water met flame. The staff huddled near the sidewalk, wrapped in silver blankets. The Riveras held their children close, trembling but safe. Elena sat on the curb, soaked and shaking, her palms raw from forcing the door open. Her uniform smelled of smoke and burnt cloth. She closed her eyes, letting the rain cool her skin. A paramedic crouched beside her. "Ma'am, you need oxygen." "I'm fine," she whispered, her voice small but steady. "Is everyone out?" "They are, because of you." Across the street, Victor stood under an umbrella held by a firefighter. His gaze was locked on her. The arrogance that had framed his every word before was gone, washed away like the soot on his face. He walked toward her slowly, umbrella trembling in his hand. "Elena," he said, voice rough. "I was wrong. About everything." She didn't look up. "You were scared." "We all were." He nodded, unable to speak further. From behind him, Mrs. Rivera approached, the rescued child in her arms. She knelt in front of Elena, eyes glassy with tears. "You saved us," she whispered. "You saved my son." Elena managed a faint smile. "I just did what anyone would." But they all knew that wasn't true. Morning broke pale and quiet over the city. The restaurant was a blackened skeleton now, cordoned off with yellow tape. Reporters took photos, firemen packed their hoses. A single cleaning rag, burned at the edges, hung from the railing where Elena had stood the night before. Victor watched as she prepared to leave, a small duffel slung over her shoulder. "You'll always have a place here," he said softly. "When we rebuild," she shook her head gently. "Some things shouldn't be rebuilt the same way." And she walked away, her steps slow but steady through the misting rain. The Riveras watched from across the street, the little boy waving shyly as she passed. Elena lifted a hand in return, a quiet smile crossing her tired face. For the first time in years, she didn't feel invisible. She didn't feel filthy or small. She simply felt seen. And as the morning sun caught the rising steam from the wet pavement, it shimmered like light through clean glass, soft, forgiving, and new.